Hello everyone, welcome to the third episode of our Iata studies, and so today we are going to have an continuation of where we had stopped in the previous video, that is the technical side of an airport. So we had in the last video we ended with the three areas where the airport gets its revenue. One is passengers, two is visitors, and third is concessionaries. Concessionaries means the restaurants, bars, specialty shops, newspaper stands, and foreign exchange counters. Through all these things, the airport gets its revenue. So today we are going to learn more about this revenue cultivation, the revenue generation of the airport. So today we will see these areas where the airport gets its revenue from. First one is the land tenants. Before getting into the other areas, primary importance should be given to the tenants of an airport. If you can just see here, if you can just see the heading called land tenants, please take that page. Another important type of customers is the land tenant. These are the businesses that occupy one or several lots in the airport property, usually through a long-term lease. For example, there are a lot of areas where the airport has to rely on an external source. For example, power generation. The power may be, the airport may be relying on the state. That means the state owned. For example, here in Kerala it might be KSEB, or they might be relying on a private energy producer, maybe something like a Reliance or something like that. So the airport has to basically depend on an external source. Basically they become actually the customers who actually yield revenue out of it. So what are these areas? What am I talking about? Please look at the second sentence. The typical concept is that they build, operate and maintain the facilities required for their operations. The airport provides road access and utility such as electricity, water, sanitary, sewer and communications. Here they are talking about people who does all these kind of services to the airport. For example, let me say an airport cannot fully manage its own sanitary sewer. Sewer means drainage line, pipeline. For example, there might be a private agency who might be collecting all these things, maybe maintaining. For example, I'll tell you that there are like washrooms inside an airport. All this wastage would be collected and taken by a private agency, and they will recycle it. So airport has to rely on these kind of people. And there are also like two types of tenants in the airport. One is the tenant who are called as airlines. Airlines, they stay there, they actually house their staffs and all those people there. They do their service like taking people and boarding and taking them in a flight. That is for aviation activity. Second one are these people who actually yield their revenue out of other services, which is non-aviation. For example, food. Let me take a name of a restaurant called KFC. KFC might be having their outlet in the airport. It is also providing a service to the passengers, but also is generating a revenue for itself and also for the airport. So airport is also yielding its revenue from these kind of non-aviation tenants. Okay, so here we are going to see who are the other operating partners. Not only these tenants we are talking about, there are other operating partners which the airport has to house. These are, if you can just see in the textbook, many different activities and service contribute to the safe and efficient journey. For this, there are several operating partners in an airport. For example, I'll tell you, like there are IT, electrical and space requirements which the airport is highly dependent on. IT means information technology. For example, most of you whom you have visited this airport, you have seen display boards like with that LCD display boards on the outside of the airport and also inside of an airport. So how does this thing change? It shows the correct flight number, the departure time, the arrival time, and all those things. It is actually controlled by the IT department. It needn't be controlled by the people whom the airport has appointed, but could be a private agency which the airport appoints and gives this responsibility. So it goes like that. These are the operating partners I am talking about. Now we will go to the ground handlers. Ground handlers, again, it's our area where the passengers has to basically go through. Like ground handlers actually handle that process, where the passengers baggage will be taken and been processed, been scanned, screened, and then will be taken to the aircraft. So there are actually ground handlers actually handle the aircraft itself, that is service a parked aircraft and its arrival and prior to its departure to another flight. That means once a flight lands, this ground handler has to make sure that the parked aircraft is being serviced, because this flight again has to travel a long range, maybe I would say Chennai to Dubai. It's a very long run, so 3.5, 4 hours. So in this 4 hours, one has to actually make sure that the flight is in a proper good condition. So that goes. And then it has handling of passengers, bags, and freight. Freight means the cargo load which the airline receives, so that it could actually transport it. So ground handlers basically do all those things. 3 types of organizations carry out this kind of responsibility: an airline for its flight or the flights of other airlines; B, an enterprise working under the contract of airlines; C, the airport operator itself. If you see in Doha airport, the airport itself, the airport operator itself, Doha International Airport Private Limited, they itself actually do all the ground handling work. They don't give it to a private contractor. But in India, it is not like that. An agency like Badra or an agency like Air India SATS does all that work. It is actually depending on country to country, the rules and regulations change. So these are the other operating partners. Now we will come to the second operating partner, the government agencies. Here in the book, government agencies, they mention immigration, customs, agriculture, and health. Actually, not only these 4 people in India, basically first will be the customs, and then the immigration, and then the CISF security wing who gives the protection. They actually scan their hand baggages also. So they are also a department here. Agriculture and health is actually a sub kind of department which actually does a health check. For example, during this pandemic situation, this health department will be playing a key role, especially for arriving passengers. They will be screening them, taking their swab and checking all those things. During a pandemic, this health department actually plays a key role. Other than that, if there is no emergency situation in this world, the health department in an airport does only a few checks. For example, if a lady, an expectant mother is flying, and if she is hiding it and she is saying that, okay, see, I'm not this much months pregnant, I can fly. So what the health department does is that they will do their test to determine that whether she is fit to fly or not. So that is these government agencies. And then we are coming to this service called ATS, Air Traffic Services. So air traffic services, if you ask me, we have already discussed about it. Air traffic actually gives a ground support to the aircrafts to land and take off in a very smooth way. Here actually it has been controlled by a state owned or a private air navigation service provider. Actually in private airports it has been controlled by a private operator, but in non-private airports it is fully controlled by the airport authorities of India. So there it goes. So this is also an operating partner. Ground handlers, government agencies and air traffic services. Okay, next is off-site associated partners. What is off-site? Off-site means a person who is not situated inside the premises of an airport but is an associated partner. Okay, in addition to their business and the operational customers, airports deal on an ongoing basis with number of external partners. External partner is highly essential. Airport cannot be an industry or a place where it can say that, oh, we don't need an external support, everything is in-house, we can do everything within our own area. No, it is not possible. You can take an example of Cochin Airport. Cochin Airport actually generates its own electricity, but for other services it has to rely on outside the airport only. So if you can ask me what are these, you are saying again and again, outside external partners, who are these people? See here, one or more municipalities, dependent on geographical and political context, their relationship relates to the provision of a highway network to the airport, utilities and land use compatibility. For example, most of the airports in India are actually situated off the city limits. Obviously, because city limits, it is fully crowded, it has a lot of buildings, lot of disturbance and all those things. You take Bangalore airport, you take any airports in India, it is actually situated outside the airport. Usually in a municipality, in a panchayat kind of area. So in this area, the municipality has to actually give a ground support to the airport to function properly. It includes everything, drainage, water supply, electricity and all those things. It also, for example, there is an highway which should be at least a 4-lane road or a 2-lane road which should be connecting the airport. Not only a 2-lane road, it should have a 4-lane road, because not only passengers comes from the airport, also freight, cargo, big sized cargo also come from the to and fro of the airport, because an airport is housing all these kind of activities. Okay, so that is A. And B, specific interest groups such as business association, chamber of commerce, tourism association. You go to Chennai airport, you might see Tamil Nadu Tourism Corporation's stall in the arrival itself. You come to Trivandrum airport, you might see Kerala Tourism Development Corporation's stall in the arrival. On the departure, it is not possible. In the arrival, when a foreigner arrives in a particular state, they might see in the arrival itself, you will see an office of this thing. There will be 2 or 3 staffs there. They will be assisting. Oh sir, like you want to visit our state, we will guide you. You just buy this package, we will take you. So that is tourism associations. And chamber of commerce. Obviously, let us take for example Calicut Airport. Calicut Airport has its Chamber of Commerce, Kerala Chamber of Commerce is associated with this airport, because cargo movements needs to be smoothened between the airport and the manufacturers, because that is actually a high level of revenue that has been generated on the both sides, for the commerce establishment also, and also for the airport. So that goes. And then again, business association, same thing, Chamber of Commerce. Then C, government. Airports operate under a number of laws and regulations, both aeronautical and non-aeronautical. Aeronautical we know, right? ICAO, then this Iata and DGCA, Director General of Civil Aviation. These people do all those things. What are non-aeronautical rules and regulations? Every country has their own labor law fire protection law and building codes. For example, if you see, there are lots of countries where labor code is like 10 hours of work. In India, it is 8 hours. In some other countries, it might be even less. Who knows? So, for laborers, they should have their own set of rules and regulations set by the local government. So, the airport should have a close coordination with this airport department, with this government department of labor, which actually directs the airport that, see, you have lot of blue collar workers and they need to be, and also direct employees also. They also need, if they are forced to work for example, 10 hours, it is actually a violation of the labor code. So, the airport, the government authorities can take a direct action towards the airport. That, see, they have violated the labor code. Okay, and then second one is fire protection. But actually, it is not an external thing. Nowadays, not nowadays. For the past few years itself, fire force, like Indian Fire Force has its own department inside of an airport, like in the air side. They have a place where their vehicles could be parked, and also their office is also there. Because when a flight lands with a burning engine or something like that, or also if a building inside the airport is catching fire, they can immediately go. It is not an external service nowadays, because nowadays I see also airports buying this firefighting engine and hiring people from outside, private firefighting agencies to do this thing. Okay, and then goes for building codes. See, you go to Germany, it has different building structure of an airport. You come to India, the structure, everything changes depending on the climate, geography. An airport like Calicut cannot have a huge terminal because it is on a hill cliff. That means on the top of a hill it is. So you cannot create a building which is of a higher, which is actually higher in size. You cannot do that thing. So you need to have a building code. So everything is relying on the government guidelines. Okay. And D, the public at large who is served by the airport, the neighbors who may be exposed to the aircraft noise. Obviously, an airport cannot completely forget the people who are surrounding it. So what it needs to do is that it actually has to make sure that the people surrounding it are also living happily. That means this noise and all should not affect them. Suppliers, the airport rely on external suppliers such as the enterprise such as water, electricity. Again, we are discussing the same thing. Then fuel, materials, stationery, banking services. You have ATMs inside the airport, banking service, external support. Building and maintenance contractors. Suddenly, a glass ceiling is actually falling down. Immediately what? They have their own people to repair it? No. They call people from outside, contractors, to repair it and to do all those things. Rewiring, electricians and all those things. These are all external people. Okay. And then media. Obviously, today's fast moving world, you need to have a steady, fast, good relation with the media department. Because media, for example, if there is an information which has to be given out to the media, they need to be also housed in a particular way inside of the airport. For example, I'll tell you, if there needs to be a press conference need to be done by the airport officials or by any kind of politicians or anybody, they have their own hall inside the airport so that media persons can come and can record it and then leave. Okay, so these are the external off-site associated partners. Okay, so here if you see, this is the diagram, this is the consolidated diagram of what we have discussed today. Airport, okay, it is actually been connected to the airspace, other modes, and it is from other airports also it is been connected to a main airport, and then the surface access. It is actually of what we had discussed in the later stage, before this chapter, that what are the how is an structure of an airport is explained. So here it is, the figure number is 1.2.4. okay, please go through it. It has actually been given that relationships between the airport and the transportation environment. For example, somebody comes, this is the way they approach the airport, and there are also other modes like the external sources, cargo movement and all those things, and also there might be a connection from other airports also. So there also they come to the main airport, and again if you can just go straight, the airspace will be there. Okay, so it is just a simple diagram, nothing to complicate yourself. Okay, so in this video we will wind up, and in the next class we will continue with this lesson. Namaste.